Okay, today we're going to talk about work sociology. We're going to go over the types of formal organizations, ideal bureaucracy, types of leaders and leadership styles, and alienation or participation in a group. Okay. Under formal organizations, there are three. We have voluntary. This is come and go as you please. This is spend time in your leisure time here. Hang out with people who are like you, who enjoy the same things as you. Maybe they have the same values and goals. Sometimes they even provide some kind of voluntary service. So you can think about an organization that raises money for curing cancer, or maybe you think of a high school club where they get together and they talk about sports medicine or something like that. And then we have coercive, which is quite the opposite. You're being forced into the organization against your will. If you think of being forced into a mental institution, a rehab facility, or prison, these fall into this category here. And these total institutions are generally isolated from the rest of society. Once you are admitted to one of these organizations, you are put through some kind of degrading ceremony. In prison, you're stripped of all of your personal belongings, and you are given a uniform set of things you are allowed to have. And once you emerge from these organizations, you go through a re-socialization process where you are stripped of who you used to be, and you are going to work towards being a more productive member of society to avoid going back into these coercive organizations. Then we have this middle ground, which is like work or college, where we're not forced to be here. We definitely choose to be here. I choose to go to work. I choose to go to school. However, if I didn't have to, I probably wouldn't. So it's that nice little middle ground there. Within these organizations, we have bureaucracy, or it's a structure of society. It's made up of a hierarchy for the most part, filled with rules and procedures based on how the functions and authority are distributed amongst the members of the organization. Weber has an ideal version of bureaucracy, and it's not to be confused with perfect. It's just his ideal. But he organized organizational arrangements and diversity within those organizations and came up with a standard set of characteristics that should be considered in a bureaucracy, which is defined roles and duties and responsibilities, hierarchy of authority, outline of rules and regulations, positions assigned based on eligibility. Positions are property of the organization, not the person in office. A position is a career. And then the organization engages in endless documentation. As an example, if I decided to run for public office, even if I had very little experience outside of helping my friend who served the last term, I would fit into Weber's ideal bureaucracy because I'm starting out as the other person's friend, and I'm essentially waiting for the rest of society to choose me based on my eligibility for the position. Within that, I'm going to be, if I am chosen, I will be held to a standard of rules, regulations, duties, responsibilities, things I must do. I'm working my way up the hierarchy of authority in order to make a difference, and that's how my position becomes a career, because there is an opportunity for me to grow and develop over a course of time. So just a couple of different ways that it fits into Weber's ideal bureaucracy here. Okay. I got to decide what kind of leader I'm going to be in this situation. And in all situations, I have to decide what type of leader I am. We have instrumental leaders. Instrumental leaders are task delegators. They make sure that the organization is running smoothly based on the level of activity its members are engaging in. This person is incredibly important. However, they generally create stress within the organization. Whereas expressive leaders kind of do the opposite, where they work on interpersonal relationships and want to solve those in order to increase productivity as well. And this often alleviates a little bit of that stress. It makes people feel heard. It helps move through those problems. So if I find myself kind of in the middle of my CEO and vice president of a Fortune 500 company, as an expressive leader, I first might talk to them about my experiences moving up the ladder and what lessons I have learned. In addition, I would want to make both parties felt heard. A lot of times conflict comes from lack of communication or lack of understanding or failing to express your feelings appropriately. I would want to make both parties feel heard and kind of bring them together in a middle ground to ensure that all of the task delegation is being completed while catering to the harmony and making things run a little bit smoothly within my company. Another issue we may have as leaders is a lack in staff engagement or member engagement. In this example, I'm a creative manager of a small group and we're in the advertising department, and I noticed one of my employees is just not really participating, and there's a couple of different things that I can look into here. I can address if they're satisfied with their job. Being a creative manager for an advertising department, I would think having a creative position would be satisfying, but maybe it's not for this person. Another satisfying position may be serving other people or just serving other people and any creative position, to be honest. Whereas there might be another side, maybe they don't feel important, they don't feel needed, they feel kind of useless. I would kind of try to figure out what's going on with that member and find what's going to make them feel satisfied or feel worthy. Maybe I assign them a position or a project that is important to me and that I will need them to complete, or maybe I talk about the service that they do provide and asking them what satisfies them and trying to incorporate that into their position. There's lots of ways to engage in staff, and sometimes we have to consider the style of leader we are. If we're really authoritative and people don't respond to that well, you might have people who just choose not to engage because you're maybe you micromanage or maybe it's just too much and you're overwhelming. Maybe your staff is not engaging because everything's so laid back. They don't have rules or responsibilities. You're laissez-faire, if you will, where you don't expect much, and so in times of crisis, things can get difficult. Maybe your staff feels like you just don't have expectations, making them feel useless. And then, there's that middle ground where you're an authoritative kind of leader, where you have rules and expectations without losing sight of understanding that these are people. These are people with feelings and emotions, and life can be difficult. So lots of different ways to engage with your staff. It's important to make sure that you address all the different possibilities. Okay. So in conclusion, today we talked about the different kinds of organizations, bureaucracy and Weber's, which is not perfect, just ideal, types of leaders, and alienation in the workplace, or members who kind of withdraw from the group. I hope you enjoyed my little clip of work sociology. Thank you very much.